Hola a todos. Starting on the 12th of October 2025, there's a big change coming to how non-EU travellers enter and leave Spain and the wider Schengen Area. The EU's new entry-exit system, or EES as it's known, will replace traditional passport stamps with digital biometric registration. So what does that mean for you if you're a traveller? In this video I'm going to break it all down, explain what EES is, who's affected, how it works and possible hiccups that might happen, and give you some tips to prepare. So let's get right into it. First of all, what is EES? So the entry-exit system, EES, it's a new EU border control tool designed to automatically record the entry and exit of travellers from non-EU third countries, as they're called. Under EES, biometric data, so that will be facial imaging, so photographs and fingerprints will be taken, plus the details of your passport and travel document data, and the date and place of entry or crossing will be recorded in a digital registry. Now, this system will ultimately replace the traditional practice of stamping your passports when you enter or exit the Schengen Area. It's worth noting that EES has a phased rollout planned. It officially starts on the 12th of October 2025, but full implementation, which when the stamping is phased out altogether, is scheduled for the 10th of April 2026. So during the transition, both this new digital system and traditional passport stamps will coexist in many border crossing points or entry points. Why is EES being introduced? Well, the first point is it's for increased security and identity verification. So EES strengthens the ability to detect identity fraud, forged documents, and in particular travellers overstaying their permitted period. There's lots of people that should be going back within 90 days and 180, but they just don't do it, so this will track them properly. They also want to just modernise the whole thing and make it more efficient. So digital border checks, in theory, are faster and should reduce paperwork, and they can integrate with automatic gates, kiosks, etc., stuff like that, which increasingly is becoming the norm. There's also the ability to share data consistently across the EU and not relying on one country, sharing with another. And the system will standardise how non-EU entries and exits are recorded across all the Schengen countries, rather than individual countries trying to do their own. Now, of course, there's some concern about privacy and protection of personal data, but the authorities say will be addressed under the current EU data protection rules, the current GDPR that's in place. So the next question to consider is who's going to be affected by this? So all non-EU nationals, so third country travellers, who basically anyone who doesn't hold an EU or an EEA or a Swiss citizenship, arriving for short stays up to 90 days in any 180-day span, are the main group of people impacted. So obviously this means citizens of the UK, of America, of Canada, Australia, many Latin American countries, etc., will all fall under this third country category. Some exemptions or special rules may apply. For example, travellers who already needed to provide biometrics for visas may already have fingerprints in the system. We don't know yet. so they might only need to provide a photo at the border checks. This is all unknown yet because it's not rolled out yet. Children under 12 are expected to be exempt from fingerprinting, but they probably will still have to do the facial image recorded. EU citizens and residents, long-term residents in Schengen countries are not subject to EES in the same way, and travel via seaports and some land borders may see delayed implementation. And for example, Spain is prioritising airports first. So, how is it actually going to work in Spain? The government has already invested about 83 million euros to upgrade the border infrastructure, new kiosks, software, connectivity, etc., to comply with the EES requirements. And the rollout is progressive. First it will be airports, then land borders, and then finally seaports. Now here's the important part for you if you're coming into Spain soon. On the 12th of October, Spain will test the EES in a limited fashion. So one flight arriving at Madrid will be the first case to try out the system. And then over the 6-month rollout period, more airports, including Alicante, Barcelona, Malaga, Tenerife, etc., will be included gradually. Seaports will be the last because many Spanish ports have not yet completed the infrastructure installation required. Now do keep in mind, during this transition period up till next year, travellers may still receive passport stamps in many border posts until EES is fully active at an application. And when you arrive under the EES system, you will use kiosks and they'll scan your passport, they'll take a photograph, they'll provide fingerprints, and then you'll proceed through automated gates or in some cases supervised gates, verifying your identity. The new system will also record exits, i.e. when people leave the Schengen area, in the same digital register. So all of your movement in and out of the EU and the Schengen zone will be recorded. So let's look at some pros and cons. So the pros and benefits are there'll be more accurate records and the ability to detect overstayers. There'll be faster, more automated border processing in many cases, I've got to stress. And obviously that will lead to better security, better fraud prevention and identity verification. And most importantly, harmonisation across all of the Schengen zone rather than sort of fragmented national procedures in each country. What about the challenges and the concerns? Well, it's inevitable that there's going to be delays in queuing during the early days, especially at busy airports. Some travellers and media expect longer processing times as staff adjust to these new processes. I think it's also inevitable there's going to be some technical glitches, and some systems just won't be ready. Some border posts just won't have the thing working properly, so that's going to cause delays. And as we mentioned, there's some privacy and data protection concerns. Storing people's biometric data centrally is sensitive, so the authorities must guarantee the EU data protection safeguards. But a big worry if that data is exposed when it's got the detail it has. And there's probably going to be some exemptions and inconsistencies. So as ports are phased in and different locations adopt EES at different times, travellers are likely to face inconsistent rules. Some places will still be stamping, some places will be using EES, and some will be using both. And then obviously there's a massive cost for all of this. So there's a burden on border agencies and nations. And as we said, Spain has already spent tens of millions of euros rolling out the infrastructure for this. So let's wrap this one up. In short, from the 12th of October 2025, Spain and the rest of the Schengen countries will start implementing the new EES system and start to replace passport stamps with digital biometric registration. It's meant to modernise borders, improve security and help enforce entry rules. But during the early months you might see delays or mixed processes as different borders come online. If you're planning to travel to Spain or indeed wider Europe over the next year, keep these changes in mind. Arrive early when you can and be prepared for the new border procedures. So I hope that all makes sense. So if you like this video, make sure you subscribe and then look out for that little QR code somewhere on the side of the screen. And if you're watching on your telly, scan that with your mobile phone and that'll take you into the subscribe button. I'll post updates as the full rollout progresses, as and when I get them, and also leave a comment if you have any questions or if there's anything you've heard differently to what I've told you. And thanks again for watching. Safe travels when you get underway. Hasta luego.